Hi, I bought the Airstone system from Lowe's, and I'm just going to show you a couple little tips that I learned the hard way. So basically I'm halfway through a job, and after many hours of tedious labor and tinkering with it, I found a couple little tricks I'd like to share with you. Now Lowe's shows you, or the product manufacturer shows you, using a hacksaw to saw through these tiles. Gets a really nice finish, but you're going to break your arm if you do more than a couple square feet of that. So what I've done is I got some very long metal blades for the Sawzall, and if you line it up right and you mark it correctly, you can kind of just use it just ever so slightly until you get through the first layer, and then you can lay on it, cut it straight through. But I found that this was the most efficient option right here, is to use, also bought at DeWalt, is $15 for the turbo masonry blade. Works super good, and it's just a super easy setup, and you get 90-degree cuts as long as you set your saw accurately. This one here, this is an 8.5 or 8 1/4 inch blade. I could only find 7.5 inch blades that were for masonry, so I just bumped it up a little bit, used the same block, and then chop it straight off like that. The last little bit will actually nick off the back, but that's okay because it's the back and not the front. So what I did here is hook up the shop vac to it. Definitely a necessity. The whole room will fill with dust if you don't, especially with anything. When you're using anything, it becomes very dusty. I found that between the saw and the oscillating tool, you can pretty much do 98% of the entire assembly thing here. Especially if you have inclines, you might need one of these bad boys to get an accurate setting for stairs or whatever, and then just do it on the blade. This way you can just keep cutting, boom, 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 knock them all out at once, and then just line them up and glue them on all at once. So I'll show you real quick how this goes down. I got my shop vac here. Cut straight through, gives you a nice finish edge. It doesn't get much better than that. It's almost as accurate as the factory smoothness. If you don't even have a masonry blade, I turned an old blade backwards and went through with that. So majority of it will go through. I'm going to show you one more little trick here. A lot of times when unboxing, you'll notice you get some chips and stuff like that. And a lot of times you could just cut that piece off and space it out no matter what, because it's an irregular shape anyway. Not like a tile that you would use every tile. You can kind of mix and match whatever sizes you need. But let's say you need to use this one. What I do is I stick a little bit of the glue from Airstone. Put it right on the edge there. Mold it in any which way you like. Okay? And then what I do is just I collect a bunch of dust from cutting everywhere else, or even get it from the shop vac when you're done. And then I added a little bit of Old English or wood stain to that to get a nice brown color. And then what I did is I just take it like this, and I kind of just tap it on until I can match that color up pretty accurately. So I just tap that on, so I got just a bunch of dust from cutting tiles. Added a little bit of stain to it, and when that gets pressed up against the rest of the wall, you won't even notice that. So that's how to get rid of some chips and cracks. Let that dry, and you're ready to ready to go. Some products, or some of the product comes with air holes in it. You know, Airstone, it's got some air holes in it. I do the same thing. You see here, I got a bunch of air holes here. You could just put that glue in there, and then I get, for light colors, I just use the straight up dust. I don't put any additive in it. I throw that in there, and then you won't even be able to see it when it's done. You know, like you see some of these air holes here, put a little dust in there, put a little glue in there, and then dust it up, and it just disappears. You can see here that I set the level. I screwed in, so if I'm working down, I wanted to use, this is where the floor joins in. So I wanted to make sure that that line that was going down, the wall here was absolutely level all the way across. And now I'm working my way down. And as I work my way down, I go either 4 inches or basically 4 inches or 6 inches each time, so that I get a nice pattern here that I have to work with. I actually space this out and put blocks in here that I'm going to use later, but I actually space them out so that I can use larger 4-inch tiles here. Because if you go in 4 rows, then you'll always have this line going through all the things. And to avoid that, what I did was I put a couple 4-inch tiles to spread the gap. Okay, so down here what I'm going to do is put a 4-inch tile here and a 4-inch tile on my edge right over here by removing the spacer tile that I put in there. And then, because I want to make sure that that's 2 inches and that's tight up against the tile before it, then when I'm ready to use a 4-inch tile, I'll be able to have that space. So the next line here will just go 2 inches down, and I'll be able to stick in my 4-inch tiles, or I can go 4 inches down and put another row underneath of it. Okay, so basically that's another trick, and I use carton containers to get various sizes, fold them once for one spacer, twice, 3 times, you know, or used actual like little shims to throw them in there as well. But super important that you make sure that it's butted up against, you know, so that you get nice even lines and you're not showing big gaps throughout. Now I was able to acquire some 90-degree angles, but they, I believe, have been discontinued, and probably for a good reason, because they do not fit with the new system. You can see the thickness here, and if you match up a tile on the other side of that against a flat wall, you're looking at a 1/4 inch to almost a 1/2 inch at times depth difference. But I was able to modify these using the saw here, just cutting straight down and flattening this out just a little bit, making sure that that's a 90-degree angle, so that it matches up better and it gives you a better looking finished look. And I did love the way that the 90 degrees went right around the corner. But right now what they're selling is the 2-piece system, where you're matching them up and you're trying to make them look as good as possible. I'm not sure, this might be the wrong edge. But again, with this type of system here, you're always going to see that line, you know, and you don't want that line. Put some glue in there, like I said before, put some glue in there, get your dust out, and tap it over, and it'll just disappear. So